Everything in the universe is either matter or energy. We now make a transition from studying matter and its properties to studying energy and its transformations. Because energy is not matter, it is easier to describe energy in terms of what it does and what happens as a result of it than to describe it as a particular thing. We see indirect evidence of energy around us as we watch it cause change in things and as we watch it transform from one form to another as it moves from one object to the next. Read and highlight the first 3 paragraphs. Pay attention to the definition of energy and how the various forms cause change, as well as to the definition of a system. And before you begin, list 3 or more ways you used energy today. You will use the data table on sheet 3 to record your observations for 9 different activities. I will read the directions for an activity off the pink instruction card and demonstrate it for you. I have activity 1 set up here. Its data and observations are already recorded in row 1 of the data table. Activity 1 instructs me to shine a light onto a radiometer. In the first blank column, I recorded what I did, turned light on. In the second blank column, I recorded what happened, blade spun. The third and fourth columns ask us to record the initial and final forms of energy. To do this, remember that energy is not a thing. Energy does things. The introduction told us that energy does work. It is the driving force that makes things happen. In the third blank column, I look back at what first caused the final thing to happen and write, light shined. In the last column, the final thing that happened was blades moved. I will now demonstrate each of the remaining 8 activities. It is best to watch the activity and then pause the video as you make your recordings in the data table. This is activity 2. Instruction 1 is to wind up the toy, then release and observe. Activity 3 is a simple circuit. Instructions are to complete the circuit and record what happens. Activity 4 is water plus chemical. First, place 15 milliliters of water into a baggie. Second, place 1 scoop of chemical into the baggie. Step 3, seal the baggie. Step 4, mix and make observations. And the observation is that the baggie gets very warm. Activity 5 is paper clip. Instructions are to take a paper clip, bend it back and forth several times, place the bend on the inside portion of your forearm, and make observations. The observation is that this bend is warm to the touch. Activity 6 is candle. Step 1 is light the candle. And step 2 is make observations. Activity 7, solar cell. I'm going to turn the light on, and you should be watching the needle here on the voltmeter as soon as I turn the light on to see what happens. This is activity 8, sound machine. I push the button.
The sun goes down, the stars come out, and all that counts is here and now. My universe will never be the same.
Activity 9 is battery and a motor. First, I complete the circuit, and you record what happens. Now turn to sheet 4. You're told to refer to pages 243 to 246 in your Holt Physical Science textbook to learn more details about the 6 different forms of energy. You should note that Fairfax County differs from your textbook in 2 ways. The first is that it does not put sound into its own category, but rather includes it under mechanical energy. Mechanical energy is defined as the energy of objects' motion. We hear sounds because as objects vibrate, they cause the air molecules adjacent to them to vibrate as well. As those air molecules vibrate, they travel down your ear canal and cause your eardrum to move back and forth. This triggers special nerves to send a signal to your brain, and you hear this as sound. The textbook also names light as one of the 6 forms, but Fairfax County includes it under radiant energy, which includes not only visible light, but all the related types of energy in the electromagnetic spectrum. The analysis table on sheet 4 has been filled in with the definitions of these 5 forms of energy. Now go back to sheet 3 and fill in the specific form of energy into the initial and final energy columns from the 5 detailed forms that are defined for you on sheet 4. So, light shined best matches the description for radiant energy, so it is added to the initial forms column. And blades spun best fits with the description of mechanical energy of the kinetic energy type, so it is also added to this box. Highlight the energy forms as you add them, or make them in a different text color. On sheet 5, you will apply your new knowledge of the 5 different forms of energy, not to just the energy in the initial and final forms, but to all the transitional forms of energy as the energy transformed from the initial to the final form. I will demonstrate this activity for you for activity number 1. As already written, the form that starts the blade spinning is radiant energy. It is then transformed into thermal energy as the radiant energy is absorbed by the black paper sides of the blades as it heats up. That energy is then transformed into mechanical energy of the kinetic type as the expanding hot air around the black paper causes the blades to spin. You should now fill in the additional energy change on sheets 5 and 6. Then skip sheets 7 and 8 and go on to answer the questions on sheets 9 and 10. Sheets 7 and 8 will be done in a separate lesson.